Welcome back everyone and to episode 13. So last week you saw me clean the engine, gave it a good first clean I'd say. There's still a few areas I want to work on, so along the side of the heads are still pretty grubby. It's a lot harder to get off, it's not just grime, it's actually sort of oxidization I think. And a few little holes and things that I need to really get into. But I'll do those as we go along. This week I had planned to put the heads back on, but they're delayed because I can't get an exhaust valve. I've actually bought one now from America, which has been shipped over, but that's probably going to take about 2 weeks to arrive. I'll keep trying to find a used one here in the UK. If I can find it, I can take it with me when I go to pick the heads up on Friday, and he'll assemble it all while I'm there. And hopefully I'll be able to video that for you guys to see how he puts it back together and things. Could be quite interesting. So what I think I'm going to do this week is prepare the surfaces ready for the gaskets and the heads to go on. And also clean up the where the water pump goes on. There's a lot of gasket left on there, and look at the oil pump, what I need to do there. I think there's some of the surfaces need cleaning out, ready for that to be fitted back in. It looks like it has a new O-ring. So let's focus on that this week and see how we go. Okay, so I'm just experimenting with removing the gasket on the water pump, or preparing the gasket for the water pump. I tried a little green Scotch-Brite pad. And it's leaving little tiny scratches, which I don't know if it's okay. I've got a plastic tool here. I'm just going to see if this does it. I've been over it with a like a razor blade or a sharp knife blade, and taken off what I can feel, but I can still see that there are bits of gasket here. Well, actually, this is not. I don't think this is gasket. I think this is more of a paste that they'd put on. With the gasket, like a sealant or something. I'm tempted to try wet and drying it, but I'm going to search online and just see if that's a suicidal thing to try. I also need to prepare the surface for the water pump to go back in, and I just looked in the gasket set. I'm still waiting for the company to reply about the gasket set where there's one ripped, but I noticed in the set there's a main crankshaft seal, bearing seal here. So I can put that one in, which would be good to get that done. And I'm just trying to work out what else I need to do while I've got the engine down in this state. There's some talk online about actually to one of the videos, I should be changing the main bearings on, which I assume is on the crankshaft. I don't know how to do that, so I'm just sort of looking into that at the moment. So I've worked away at this with Scotch-Brite, but I can't get this last little bit of gasket off, so I'm just going to use an upright blade. And those noises that, like running your fingernails down a blackboard, it's not very nice. But I think it's just going to be enough to get there. I think it's a little bit of sealant rather than gasket. Maybe it will just come off. Very careful not to actually damage the surface. Okay, maybe it won't come off with this. Nope. Okay, I might have to try something a little bit more aggressive, like wet and dry or something like that. I don't think the Scotch-Brite's going to touch it anymore. Give it one more go. Moving on to the water pump now. This needs to be super smooth inside here, as I can imagine. There's a few little deposits, sort of, maybe it's a bit of something building up. I don't know. I was going to say calcium, but clearly not calcium because it's all oil in here. but there's something sort of little tiny residue. I'm not cutting, don't worry. Actually, it's soft, so it's soft. I'm not sure. I thought it was soft, so I was going to say it's probably melted grommet or something, but I'm not so sure of that. Let's give it a little clean for a minute and we'll just see how this looks. I think the water pump basically is a case of pretty much just clean it all up, soak it in oil to make sure it's all clean and lubricated, and then reassemble it with parts assembly stuff, which I need to buy. There's definitely something stuck in there. Oh no, it's gone. Good. Okay. There's a little bit this side I saw. And then I think that's the only bit that needs cleaning out then. There's a great online tutorial about fitting or rebuilding and then fitting the water pump. And it's very, very precise instructions it gives about making sure it's in there and it's not grinding on anything. So I'll follow that in a minute. If I can find it again. This is thin as like white spirit to just dissolve any oil or anything. That should just take that out. I need it really clean. Next up on the unboxing is the water pump. So let's see what design 911 sent us. Let's have a look. Box of chocolate, bar of chocolate, very nice. Let's put that on the headlight. And a water pump. There's anything else in there. Lance. Visually check it is what I think. Yeah, it's decent enough. Great. Okay. Can be. We're looking to get. Oh, they put a gasket in after all. Okay. We can actually cancel the gasket because I've ordered one with the entire gasket set, but that doesn't matter. Okay, we're going to start looking at getting some bits on the car again soon then. Looking forward to that. So finally we're at the time to put the water pump on. We're slowly rebuilding everything. So new water pump with the bolts. I've put the bolts in their holes, and there's a mixture of two different lengths. And the way to check if you've got the right lengths is to put them all through and then check that they all hang down the same amount, so that they all protrude through the same distance, which I'm hoping you can see on camera that they do. So then you put one water pump next to the other, new versus old, and I'm going to transfer all the bolts from this one back into the old. Then on the block itself, I'm going to put some sealant around where the gasket goes here, put the gasket on, put some more sealant on the gasket on this side of it, offer the pump back up, and then put some the outside bolts on, just sort of to one side, to the other side. And then I can transfer the bolts from the old water pump across back to the new, knowing that I've got the right lengths. Otherwise it would be quite hard to work out which should be short and long, and I'll probably get them all around the wrong way. So let's get on and do that now. So hopefully you can see that there's a very thin coating of gasket compound on there. Which I'm going to use now to stick it on, if I can get around the right way. Stick it on, and that should just hold it. Right, let's carefully line her up. There's a couple of pins that I can line it up with. I'll just get that on. Okay, that goes on pretty good. All seems to line up nicely. So now I'm going to put the same compound onto the back side of the water pump, and then I can offer it back up, and then we start screwing it on. Right, this should just fit on there. Using the locator pins to make sure it's in the right place. Which is there. Now just transfer some of the bolts across from the old pump. Put them in hand tight just to hold it in place, and I can slowly go around putting the bolts in, sort of tighten them up, torque them up to the correct amount, which I need to quickly look up. It's so nice to start getting things back on the car. It seems like it's been apart for quite a long time now. I think there's a lot of things all going to be starting to come back together now. And it kind of becomes believable that I'll actually have an engine working again soon. Probably still being months away, of course. Okay, all the bolts are in. I need to torque them up correctly, but that is the water pump on. Excellent. That's really good. Okay, so I quickly read up about these. It's 6 to 8 Newton meters, which pounds per square foot. Sorry, not Newton meters. So very low. Right, I think we're done. So this is the cylinder head, how I've cleaned it up. What I'm after is knowing if that's clean enough. Now you can see there's the inner ring, so I guess the cylinder liner is very clean, and there's just still a little bit of deposit on, say, the outer edge, the jacket of the cylinder. It's all very smooth to touch, so although there's discoloration, it's very smooth. I've not used anything aggressive on it. It's all been very gentle, but I don't know whether I should keep going at it to make it smoother or if that's smooth enough. I just want to make sure you're focused so you can see. So any advice on that, please, would be very welcome. Put it in the comments. And secondly, when you look inside the cylinder, you can see, there we go, look, there's some residue at the bottom there. It's the same in all of the cylinders. There's a little bit of dust and a bit of grit and whatever's fallen in there. Now, how do I get that out without damaging the cylinders? I haven't even turned this engine over by hand at all yet, because I'm worried that this grit and stuff will score the liners again. So I need to know how to get that out. I can try and hoover it out, sort of agitate perhaps with a little brush and hoover it. So I saw someone saying I could put grease in there, and then as you wind it up, the grease sort of collects all the debris to the top, and then you wipe it off when the piston's at the top. So, you know, I guess when you get to sort of this stage, I assume that piston probably comes a little bit higher up, but that allows you to wipe it out. But again, any advice on that would be really appreciated. Please put it in the comments. So, you know, that's in prep. I've got the cylinder head should be back in about 2 weeks. So I've got time, but I just would like to know what I need to do, both in terms of clearing out the actual cylinder itself and how smooth and how much work I need to do on these surfaces, whether I need to keep going at them, get them completely silver, you know, back to bare metal, or whether it's okay that they're discoloured. As I say, they're smooth. You can scratch it. There's no lumps on it, but I don't want to overdo it. Okay, so any help would be appreciated. Well, that wraps up this week's video. I'd say we've had a pretty good week. After those few weeks of coming down, and I think we've eventually reached rock bottom. So from taking the engine out, stripping all the components off, finding out my block was broken, getting a new block, cleaning that block up, I feel like we're now turning the corner and coming back up. This week we managed to get the water pump on. I've prepped the surfaces ready for the oil pump. I just need to wait for a rubber O-ring so I can fit that. I've got one of the cylinder heads polished or cleaned, but I need your advice on whether that's clean enough. The cylinder heads are still about 2 weeks away because I'm waiting for that valve to come in from America. So I've still got time to clean up the other cylinder head. I'm not worried about that. And there's lots of parts now arriving. There's a sequence of things arriving ready for me to start refitting things. Thinking the cam belt I think arrives tomorrow. You'll notice the bonnet's open because I've now started to turn my attention to the engine bay and look at what I need to do to get the engine fitted back in. So the actual engine bay, besides being a bit mucky, it's very solid. So the actual walls, there's no rust or anything like that. So I'm going to paint the inside, strip off what I need to that needs to be either replaced or refurbished or whatever. The engine mounts, I was really pleased to see they're fine. They've not deteriorated at all. There's rust on the metal, which I'll scrub down and paint. The subframe I've still got to look at, but I think that's pretty solid from what I saw before, apart from the underside is rusty, so I can treat that. But that's a whole new journey coming up. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next week.